Good morning. Today is the second session of our chapter on AC, alternating current. I hope you've gone through the first session where we discussed the RMS voltage and the RMS current. Now, here you will see that today our topic is dealing with a very simple circuit where you have just a resistor to which you are applying an AC voltage. So far, in our third chapter, where we dealt with current electricity, and in all of your smaller classes, you've only dealt with circuits that carry DC current or you are applying a DC voltage. But you will see that most of the electrical devices that we have at home or around us deal or use AC voltages and AC current simply because most of the energy sold by power companies are in the form of alternating current and alternating voltages. This is because alternating current can easily be converted or alternating voltage can be easily be converted from a lower voltage to a higher voltage and vice versa using a transformer, which we will be learning towards the end of this chapter. So, since you can transmit these voltages over long distances by using step up and step down transformers, most of our electrical devices function on this AC voltages and AC current. So, getting back to our topic here, what we have today is a very simple circuit where you have a resistor to which you are connecting an AC voltage. This is a symbol for an AC voltage where this is given as V equal to V0 sine omega t, which is not unfamiliar to you because in our previous chapter on electromagnetic induction we have the AC generator whose output was given as E equal to E0 sine omega t, and then we discussed that this sine omega t shows you that the voltage output of an AC generator is not a constant voltage, it continuously varies harmonically with time. So the same thing I am just writing here, this is the potential difference. So we can also represent it as V equal to V0 sine omega t. Now if you remember this from our AC generator, the sine function varies like this in one time period t starting from 0. It starts with 0 to a peak value, then comes down to 0, a negative peak, and then back to 0. So this V here represents the instantaneous value of voltage. That means at any particular instant of time, the V voltage is what is given here. The voltage, instantaneous voltage at a time t, whereas this V0 represents the peak value, that is V0. So in our function here, we have the instantaneous value of voltage varying as a sine function, V0 being the peak value of voltage and this being the instantaneous value of voltage at any time t. Now from Ohm's law we already know the potential difference across a resistor is given by I into R. So now if you compare these two, you see that the voltage which is V0 sine omega t given by function, given by as my first equation, I may equate it to IR is equal to V0 sine omega t. And from this I may write I equal to V0 by R sine omega t. Now if you look at this function, the peak value sine omega t will be taking the maximum value 1. Then I will be equal to V0 by R, which is actually the peak value of current. V by R is current I. So since this is the peak value of voltage, this V0 by R represents the peak value of current. And so we may write I equal to I0 sine omega t, which I'll take as my second equation. Now, if I look at the two equations for voltage and current, you will see that they are in phase. I hope you remember what you mean by phase from our previous classes. Anyway, let me show it to you. So you see this function and you know that the voltage and current in this circuit are in phase, meaning I have plotted the values of time, the voltage and current with respect to time and angle omega t. Let me discuss this first with you. See, when you are talking about, let's say, um, let's say at this instant t equal to 0. When t is equal to 0, omega, as you all know, is 2 pi by t. Right? So, the angle covered, omega t is the angle covered theta, will be when t is 0, this omega t is also going to be 0, and so the angle covered also I have plotted as 0. After, so if this is one time period t, at 1/4 the time period, the angle covered naturally is 90. That is, omega is 2 pi by t into t by 4, and you see that's equal to pi by 2. So that is why I have written at t by 4, the angle covered is pi by 2. Similarly, at t by 2, half the time period, the angle covered should be 180 pi. Because if you put this as t by 2, you will see that this is going to be pi. So at t by 2, the angle covered is going to be pi. And then at 3t by 4, 3 by 4 the time period, the angle covered is going to be 3 pi by 2, 270. Because this is 3 pi by 2, and this is 3t by 4, which gives you a 3 pi by 2. And after one complete time period, the angle covered will be 2 pi. Right? So, then if you look at the variation of voltage and current from the functions, you see when omega t is 0, sine 0 is 0. So, both current and voltage will take 0 values. So, that is why I have written 0 there. At angle pi by 2, sine 90 here and sine 90 here take value 1. So that V becomes V0, the peak value, and I is I0, the peak value. So I have plotted that here. At t by 2, where you have pi, sine pi here again is 0. So both voltage and current take 0 values. At 3 pi by 2, sine 270 here and here gives you a negative 1. So the voltage will be minus V0, current will be minus I0, and that's what we've plotted here. And at 2 pi, both sine functions becoming 0, you have the voltage and current taking 0 values. If I am going to represent this graphically, you will see at 0, both voltage and current take their peak values, V0 and I0. At pi, both of them attain 0 values. At 3 pi by 2, both of them take the peak values in the negative direction, minus I0 and minus V0. And at 2 pi, they attain, both together, they attain the 0 values, which means they are in phase. They attain their peak values and 0 values together at the same time. But you will see that the peak value of V0 is always greater than I0, because I0 we know is V0 by R. So V0 divided by R, you get I0. So peak value of V0 should be greater than peak value of I0. So from this discussion, we know that if you apply a AC voltage to a simple circuit having a resistor, the current and the voltage in the circuit are in phase, the peak value of voltage being greater than the peak value of current. Now, this can be represented using what you call as a phasor. Let me first tell you what a phasor is. As we know, the current and the voltage in the circuit are in phase. So, this relationship between the current and voltage in any AC circuit can be represented with a phasor. A phasor is nothing but a vector that is capable of rotating about the origin in the xy plane with an angular speed of omega. So, as you know, a vector is represented by an arrow. The length of the vector will give you the magnitude of that vector, and any vector that is capable of rotating in the xy plane about an origin with an angular speed of omega, so that in any time t it would have covered an angle omega t, is what you call as a phasor. So here, if I am using this phasor to represent the voltage, at any time interval t, it would have covered an angle omega t. This length of this vector, the phasor, will give you the magnitude or the peak value of voltage. And if I take the projection of the phasor onto this axis, you know that this is the opposite side. So this phasor, its projection onto this vertical axis would be the opposite side, which would be given as the peak value here. So this is the peak value is V0. So this will be the peak value, the projection will be given as V0 sine omega t, which is the instantaneous value of the voltage V. So this is a phasor that represents voltage. And you also know in this circuit, the current would have also covered the same angle omega t as just as the voltage in that time interval t. So if I am using a phasor to represent the current also would have covered the same angle omega t in this time t, and I am going to represent that as the other phasor whose projection onto this vertical axis will give me the instantaneous value of current at that time. Okay, so if you look at this phasor, you will see that both voltage and current are in phase, meaning they would have covered the same angle, and the projection of that phasor onto this axis will give you the instantaneous value of voltage and current at that particular time t. Now you must also keep in mind that the voltage and current in this is not a vector, it is a scalar. As you know, voltages and currents are scalar quantities. But here we may represent them as phasors just because they vary harmonically with time. So any scalar quantity which varies harmonically with time can be represented using a phasor simply because it is easier for us to add or combine these phasors with the same rules that we apply to vector quantities. So that is why whenever you represent scalar quantities that vary harmonically with time using a phasor, it is easier to combine them or mathematically add them using the same rules that you would have used for vector addition. So that is why, and that is what you call as a phasor. And also one look at this phasor diagram tells you very clearly that the voltage and the current in this circuit are in phase. They both cover the same angle omega t in a time t, and the projection of those phasors onto this axis will give you the instantaneous values of V and I at that instant. This is the opposite side, so the sine function will give you the instantaneous value at that time. Now let me make it a little more clear to you by drawing another diagram. See, our graphical representation for the sine function, that is voltage, is this, and your current is represented like this, okay, in a resistor only circuit. Now the same thing if I am going to represent using the phasor diagram, and let's say at some instant of time t, the angle covered, some instant of time t, the angle covered is omega t. So at this instant here, we have the instantaneous value of voltage and current. So this is your phasor having covered an angle omega t, and the projection of this phasor here, this value will give you V0 sine omega t, which is the instantaneous value of voltage at that instant time t, and this value here will give you the projection of this phasor. This is the current phasor and this is a voltage phasor, will give you the instantaneous value I0 sine omega t at that instant t. Now, so at this point when it takes peak values, that is when it would have covered an angle pi by 2, your phasor would have rotated and reached here, and having started from here covering an angle pi by 2. At pi, when both of them touch 0, the phasor would have rotated and reached here, so that their projection onto this vertical axis is 0. So that is why I told you, projection of this phasor onto this axis represents the instantaneous value of that phasor, that voltage and current. So at this point P, you see both voltage and current touches 0, So your phasor is in this direction. Here, having covered an angle 180, projection of this phasor onto this axis is 0. Then when after rotating through another 270, that is here, they both take their peak values. So the peak values are here and back here is 2 pi. So this same variation, graphical representation, can also be represented. The variation of voltage and current in any AC circuit can be represented using a phasor diagram. Phasors are simply rotating vectors which are actually representing scalar quantities which vary with time, and they are capable of rotating above the origin with an angular speed of omega. Now, the discussion on this is not complete unless we discuss about the power dissipated in this circuit. Now, if you look at this varying current in the circuit, you will see that the current in one complete cycle time period will average out to be 0 because every positive value here has a negative value. So if you take the average of current in one cycle, in one time period t, it should give you a 0. But since even though the current is 0 in the circuit, it does not mean that the power consumed and the energy dissipation in the circuit is 0. Because if you take your equation for power, you know it is I squared R. And when you square current, the current also takes a positive value. The square value will take a positive value, and therefore there will be power consumed, there will be energy dissipation in the circuit, and we are going to find out an expression for the power dissipated in the circuit in one complete cycle, that is an average power. So if I'm going to write an expression for the instantaneous power, that will be V into I, where both V and I are the instantaneous value of current at any instant. For example, if I'm talking about this instant here, the instantaneous value of current and voltage is what I represent as V and I, which you know is V0 sine omega t, and this is I0 sine omega t. If I multiply, I get V0 I0 sine squared omega t. Now when I want to find the average power represented as P and on top of that a bar, I take the average of V0 I0 sine square omega t in one complete cycle or one time period t. But we cannot average a square term because you know sine functions when squared will take the positive value. So in order to change the square term, I will use the identity sine square theta is equal to 1 minus cos 2 theta by 2. So that I would have removed the square function. So I may write this as, I'll take the V0, I0 because they are constants outside, average of 1 minus cos 2 omega t by 2. So when I take the average of a cosine function, cos 2 omega t or cos theta, you will, just like the sine function, you will get 0 because if you see, let me draw it here for you. Cos 0 as you know is maximum 1. Cos 90 is taking a 0 value, cos 90. Cos 180 is minus 1. Cos 270 is again 0. And cos 360 will go back to plus 1. So that if you take one complete time period, every positive value will have a corresponding negative value. Here all these negative values will have a corresponding positive value. So any cosine function or sine function, if you take the average over one complete cycle, will be 0. So because of that, I may take the average of cos 2 omega t to be 0, so that I may write power average in one cycle or one time period t is simply V0 I0 by 2, which I may also write as V0 by root 2 into I0 by root 2, because the root 2 and root 2 is this 2. This is what I discussed in the last session as VRMS. So we have this as VRMS into IRMS. Or I can replace this V as I into R, Ohm's law, so that I may write my formula as I squared RMS into R. So you will see the expression for average power is the same as that you would have used in DC circuits. You already know the formula as V into Y, and you know your formula for power as I squared R. We also have another formula which is V squared by R. So you may use the same formulas that you used in DC circuits for AC circuits. Only please keep in mind that the values of V and I that you use should be the RMS values. If they are the RMS values, then you continue to use the same formulas that you used for DC circuits. So I think today we have discussed all that we need to know when you apply an AC voltage to a simple circuit containing only a resistor. So I hope you understood that in the circuit, the voltage and the current are in phase, and the power consumed is Vrms into Irms, or you may use the formula I squared R or V squared by R. Thank you.